Right now, we're about to have another panel session, and we are about to invite and welcome our panelists who will come forward to share from their wealth of knowledge.
All right, coming on stage at this time, we'll be having the CEO, Nord Automobile Nigeria. Can you please put your hands together for Toby Ajayi? Also coming forward at this time, the CEO, Piggy Vest. Can we please put our hands together for Somto Ifezue? Also joining them, can we please put our hands together for Gideon Oroviroro? Please put our hands together as he is the lead operations FinCra Technology Nigeria.
Thank you.
And to be moderating this panel session, can we also put our hands together for Abiodu Dominic Odonuga?
Thank you.
And this panel session is centered about tech-enabled operations, tactical deep dive into tools that streamline operations.
So for the next few minutes, ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to sit back and listen as they share from their wealth of knowledge. Thank you very much. The moderator, Abiodun Dominic Odunuga, over to you. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's been a very packed day, and we'll try to just get right into this important session. So we have, of course, with us three incredible speakers from important sectors, from savings to automobile, and also, of course, to payments. And so I'll be going straight to the first question to our speakers. I'm Abiodun Dominic Odunuga, CEO of Bridge and Value. I'm based in Paris. And I must also confess that having lived in Europe for over a decade, the guys sitting on this panel are truly inspiration, right? They are really inspired people. We talk about them. There are many case studies, not just within the European landscape of actors and ecosystem leaders, but there are many francophone CEOs. Every time I get to engage them in Paris and out of Paris, every time, the discussion centers around what is the source code and how have these, unicorns or startup founders, CEOs, how have they been able to build these success stories in Nigeria? And it's quite interesting. And I think once I'm back, all I have to do to them or do for them is to just let them replay some of these things that have been said here and let them watch the video clip. Because on this platform, we've had so many, success stories that has been shared, and I think I want to appreciate the fact that most of those statements are raw statements that goes beyond just stories, but actual performance that they've done. So I'll start with a very general question to each of them. Of course, I want to start with Somto. You already answered the question with Dr. Akinpelu, of course, during the last fireside chat. And this is just touching a further on what the Eureka moment was for, Piggyverse. When was that? I know you said it's Twitter buzz, right? Somebody tagged you on Twitter. But if you could just touch a bit on when was it that the light bulb moment came and you felt like we've hit something big and that this company or this idea would scale as it is scaling right now? So Somto, over to you.
Thank you, everyone. I think it was in 2020, actually. So that's 4 years after, 5 years after, 4 years-ish, or the fifth year, when the COVID year, right? So again, this was everyone's, at least our generation, at least for the last 100 years, our first almost world-ending moment, right? So everybody thought, are we going to be here next year? And we did not know what was going to happen. Would people withdraw all their money? What is going to happen, right? But what we realized was a lot of people now started thinking about what was important, right? And a lot of that was their finances, right? So people started thinking about their money differently. They wanted to be closer to their money. People who used to do physical savings, actually there was no way to buy things, like the social distancing and everything. So people had to go online, right? My uncle, who never has like used a mobile app, right, had to go to his bank and get internet banking for the first time, right? And I think the fact that a lot of people chose Piggyverse as a place to hide their money in the last days was, for me, that was my validation. Okay, we've actually done something that's, when you're thinking about your life, right? For the people who use Piggyverse, they chose Piggyverse to keep their money, right? And the fact that we grew a lot in that year, for me, like, was the moment that I realized, okay, we've done something good.
Awesome. All right. For Toby, Nord Autos, I would like you to introduce yourself. I skipped that part for Somto because he's done a lot already. So you introduce yourself to the audience, and of course, tell us when that light bulb moment was for your company.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Oluwatobi Ajayi. I'm the chairman and CEO of Nord Automobiles Limited, one of Nigeria's automakers, the foremost automaker in this country and in Africa. And we're proud to show the world that Nigerians can make their own vehicles. And we're doing it in a very good way, in a very proud way. So the light bulb moment, right? I started my career at Mercedes-Benz. I think I started working at Mercedes-Benz when I was 22, 23, and I grew very fast. By 24, I became the head of a division, which is just 2 steps below the MD. It's a top level post, which you need to have spent like 10 years maybe to be able to have the opportunity to be there. But I got there when I was 24. And it opened my mind to many things. At 26, I left Mercedes-Benz Nigeria to start a dealership of Mercedes-Benz. And people say I left because I didn't fight for my head of division post, that I was just handed over. Somebody said he didn't climb the step. He used the chopper. He used the helicopter. And that's why he didn't value it. Well, so at 26, I saw an opportunity. I started a dealership of Mercedes-Benz. And this was, I think, 2014, late 2014, 2015. And for those who are old enough here, they know what happened in late 2015, 2016. The Naira lost a lot of value. And I think we were at 160. And within 1 year, it went to almost 500 before it came back. So what happened was, vehicles I used to sell for like 9 million naira. So I'm even till today, I love commercial vehicles. I love vehicles. I love making vehicles that bring value for people. So vehicles that move people from one point to another, vehicles that make businesses better, that allow businesses to check their break-even point and say, okay, if I buy this pickup versus this pickup will give me a better total cost of ownership. I've always loved that. So a lot of businesses were buying from us before at, let's say, 9 million naira. And within a year, the cost, I won't tell you guys the cost was 7.5 million. We're selling for 9 million. Next thing, within a year, the cost of the bus went to 24 million naira, all within 1 year. And the customer was still earning almost the same thing. So immediately, I couldn't sell. And we have to say this I think most entrepreneurs here do it. One of the best ways to sell and to be a good entrepreneur is to show the customers that you are with them. You understand them. Sometimes I was telling somebody I was telling somebody about how I wanted to buy property in VI, that I want a showroom, I want on the street. And every time she'll be sending me closes in Ikoyi, and I'm like, I'm not going to buy from this girl. I told you I want somewhere on the main road in VI. Why are you sending me small streets because you just want to sell? You don't care about what I need. If you want to sell to people, you have to ensure that those people know that you care about their business. You care about what they want. That way they will trust you. They will trust us. So when they came to me and they said, oh, these prices are too high, what are we going to do? I go to their office, we drink coffee together, we drink tea together, I sympathize with them. Oh, Nigeria, oh, this, let's look for a solution. Then in talking to them, I realized something. So, okay, I was selling Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz had the durability, which is reliability, elegant vehicles, but not affordable. So, reliable, durable, elegant, but not affordable. So I knew what I had to do was to provide vehicles that are reliable, durable, elegant, then top it up with affordability. And that's what I did, and that's how Node started, to provide durable, elegant, reliable vehicles that are very affordable. Thanks.
Interesting. All right, we'll move also to Gideon from Frinker. I don't know if your story is the same as Dixon from Korat. Dixon said he started with producing beautiful rubbish solution. So did Frinker also go through beautiful rubbish before you got the light bulb moment?
Well, it so turns out that there's something better than beautiful rubbish, or something worse than beautiful rubbish. There's ugly rubbish. And I think, you know how it is, you're starting a company, payments company, you're seeing your mates, it's working, you're seeing Piggy, Paystack, Flutterwave. Of course, it's the next frontier of opportunity. And so 3 years ago, we cracked something. You have a lot of locals in US, Canada, wherever, trying to put money into Nigeria or Africa. And, we were able to sort of ride the wave and get on it. And that was a breakthrough. At some point in time, we're powering up to 40 to 50% of all remittances into Africa. How many of us have received money from abroad and we saw Frinker on it? Let me just check. It's a vibe check. All right, thank you. My customers are in the room. Woo, woo, woo. But something then began to happen and this was a light bulb moment that happened a year ago. So you're trying to expand business, you're trying to see more ways to, push the frontiers of adding value to the continent. And then you then become faced with a puzzle, because if I'm a business person here in Nigeria, I'm doing payments, I'm fine, but it's time to push my business to the next level. The typical businessman is thinking of how to expand to Canada, US, to the West, right? If I'm a tailor and I want to send my clothes out, let's say, people are liking my stuff, and then I want to start sending that abroad. But it doesn't quite hit you that there is a market in Kenya or in Ghana that is happy to actually receive your stuff. Like, it doesn't hit you like that. Like, you don't typically think of expansion to another African country. For instance, we have a lot of tea out of Kenya, but it's more it's more fashionable to have tea from UK. But the tea actually went from Kenya to UK and it's coming back to us. Then, when you start to ask why, you start to figure out that payment is broken across the continent. And then it really became a light bulb moment for us, because what we started to realize is our colonial masters built the infrastructure. Yes, they told us, bye-bye, you people have your independence. But they structured the financial system such that we are still very much reliant on them. So for instance, if I want to send money to Ghana, it's a lot easier to fly with the money in cash, pass immigration, get a ticket, and fly, right? And meanwhile, if I want to send that money will first go to UK clearinghouse, then to Ghana. There's just something broken with how financial services is on the continent. And then that is that snap, the Thanos figure snap, that there is actually something here. And for us, what now started to happen is, what if, just the way in the West, there were rails that integrated all of the United States, but now instead of having physical roads, we now have financial rails? What if it is now easy to move that money from Nigeria to Kenya, from Kenya to Malawi, from Malawi to South Africa, and I don't have to see or use the normal, foreign channels to move that money? What if there was actually a payment provider that can build the rails for an integrated Africa? We saw that opportunity, and in FINCRA, we answered the call. And today, thankfully, we power payments in over 20 African countries.
You know what? We have to give more kudos to FINCRA. I co-founded a diaspora organization headquartered in France, but with chapters in different European countries. It's called Friends of Nigeria. So we have this huge network of Nigerians abroad. I didn't know, I think you guys even don't do as much publicity or give yourself as much props as you should. So of course we do remittance, back and forth every day, every month within the diaspora community to parents and loved ones. Now we used to respect these major fintechs in Europe, and some of them have become our partners, in Europe for the diaspora community. Only for me to try, of course, one of them, and by the time the receipt came back, I saw powered by FINCRA. So you guys are telling us you're doing this remittance from Europe back to Africa, but actually, this has actually been done by a Nigerian fintech that is actually doing the core of the work. And so I think we should put our hands together again for them, for the incredible work that they've been doing. Yeah, well done, FINCRA. And okay, now I'll go back to Somto. Somto said something very important. So picking back on what you said or mentioned during your last fire chat a few minutes ago, you said you earned a trust capital because your business is really built on trust. And just because you went to Covenant University, of course, it was easy, right? I wish the same was for me too. I went to Covenant, but no European has given me money because I went to see you. They would drill you more. But Nigerians have trusted you for that brand equity that you have from CU. That has gone well for you so far, but the question to you, and I want you to be as transparent as possible, what has gone wrong in the past few years that you were able to recover from, and probably people will be surprised to even hear that despite the fact that we've grown in traction and in scale, people trust us with their money. Some of them even have dreams. They recall their money and they put it back. But within, PiggyVest structure, was there any time there was a very delicate mistake or something that costed you your brand equity, and how were you able to recover from that? So more likely, we're trying to learn from your failures right now, not just what went right with all that you've done in the past few years.
I think there are a couple. There was a time, I think one of the first ones was when the website, like the entire backend, was down completely. And that's like the people's worst fears. They've run away finally, right? Yeah. So that was also a very hard, because it was not like, I'll say it was our fault. So there was a time our domain expired, right? Where we just forgot to renew the domain name. So even though the server is there, but people cannot access it from, the normal, PiggyVest. So we've learned from that. We buy, like, our domains are long lease now. Then we've had cases where a lot of financial cases, maybe something that people think we're associated with, say that, this particular investment went down, and our name is inside the list of people who, right, who made those investments. But I think one of the things that I've learned, right, from all of this is just stay true to the goal, all right, or the mission. There will be distractions, there will be mistakes, but I think some of the, like, I think failure is feedback, as far as I'm concerned, right? So there's nothing like failure, and all that matters is how you communicate, being transparent with your customers. Never put like a Chinese wall or any form of barrier between yourselves and the people that trust, because trust is built on communication, it's built on transparency. So if people think that something went bad, tell them what happened, right? Let them know, because they know that you're a human being, you're not ChatGPT, right? So tell them what happened, and they'll trust you. It's just like something similar that happened, because even recently, our systems were down because Cloudflare, for instance, had an outage that affected almost half of the internet, right? Yeah. So, and again, there was no problem. I'm not sure nobody had any issues. We were down for like a few hours. This was like maybe a few days ago, and it did not trend before now. Right? It did not trend, and when we're back up, we're just back up. So I think just being transparent and being consistent has helped us like weather through like challenges and just made more people trust us more. Yeah.
Thank you for being that honest. All right. So now to Toby. Well, we're here at Perform X, and one of the major key elements being discussed all through the day and for tomorrow is technology. So aside, we have fintech, we have payment gateways here. You're doing something very hands-on. It's physical. It's about cars. It's about logistics. It's about procurement. How has technology helped you scale in any form, and what role has tech helped in helping you to really become a great performer in the industry you play in?
Okay. My company is very hard tech reliant. We use technology a lot in my industry, and of course you cannot compete, let alone even be one of the leading players if you don't use technology. So almost every area, from the assembly plant, you have to use okay, let me start from the manufacturing, because let me even explain this, right? People always say this, okay, do you manufacture cars or do you assemble cars? I hear those questions every time. Who still wants a clarification of that question? Here. Okay, I can see some hands there. So let me I will now use that to explain how tech works here. So the only way you can make a car, I've said it so many times, is to assemble it. So what you manufacture are the individual components. A car is an aggregate. It's a summation, assembly of different, just like when you build a house, different components. The AC, even AC is just, they have compressor, you have condenser, to make the air conditioning system. You have the brake disc, the brake pad, you have there are about 3,000 different components that you have to bring together to make a car. So you manufacture those individual components. Even engines are not manufactured. Engines are assembled, because engines have individual components. The pistons, the different, the crankshaft and different parts of it. So you have to assemble. Engines are assembled, actually. Then you bring the engine and you assemble it, put it in a car. So we have the manufacturing line, where you manufacture a classic buy or make. In most MBA classes, we'll say this a lot: buy or make. So sometimes you decide, based on your own, you consider the volume. How much vehicles do you make? How much vehicles? So do you have the capacity to make this, or is it better for you to actually just buy? So sometimes we make some of our own components, like the plastic part, the bumpers, the grill, the door handles. So we have the assembly line where you make this components. The manufacturing line where you make these components. Then we also have some that we buy in, like the engine and the rest. Then you take them to the assembly line, where all the components are there. They are labeled. You start assembling them by points. So from the axles, the brakes, from the brakes to the chassis, like that, till the entire vehicle is complete. So in the assembly line, of course, you have a lot of machines there, welding machines. We even have 3D printing machines for testing, for research and development, for testing what's there, what's not there. And you have to be very, will I call it smart, in deciding how to deploy the technology. So for example, in the welding line, we use semi-automated welding line. We can use fully automated, but there are reasons why we choose semi-automated. So number one, the fully automated ones are a lot more expensive. Not that you can't afford it or not, but when you do the analysis, the cost to benefits, you realize that you can achieve about 85%, 90% the same value, especially when you consider the volume you have, if you have the semi-automated version. And for us, we're in Nigeria. One of the reasons why we do what we do is to create job. You know, if we automate the entire line, a lot of people will not have a job. You don't understand? So a lot of people will not be able to be at the factory, you know. So our welding line is semi-automated. A lot of the other components in the assembly line are manned by people, you know. Most times, you know, like maybe the screws, the lifts, in most advanced, like the Mercedes-Benz factory, for example, in fact, you might not even see a single human being there. Do you get? But for us, there's somebody there who just controls it with the remote and moves from one point to another, you know. And now we're also involving AI now. In fact, we are very big on AI now. AI helps us to, what's the next process? What's the next thing? We put in what we want. We've trained the AI system, you know, what we want. It tells us, okay, this is the next step. This is how you're going to go about it. And we're even training it to become a lot better. So it's an industry where technology is just at the core of it. And you have to improve. You have to go for shows. You have to go for tech shows to see what your competitors are doing, so that when people are doing something in maybe 10 hours, you're not using 3 days to do it. So it's very important for us. Thanks.
Thanks, Toby, for that. You know, when you started off and you were saying, people think manufacturing cars was a big deal. I mean, it's 30 components, put them together. I was like, okay, let's all be manufacturing cars. Bring 30 components, a car is ready. I mean, car manufacturing made easy by Nod Autos. Can we put them together for him? All right. Now you already took us into AI, and I think we can, of course, get Finca on board to start talking about AI. So where do you see AI playing a role when it comes to this payment infrastructure? It's something new. The world is embracing, and like Dixon also mentioned, we can't shy away from that. So it's a very strong, formidable payment gateway. How does AI become a leverage for you and for the clients that you have across Africa?
I think AI definitely is such an amazing game changer for us. When you're processing somewhere north of, 4.5 to 5 million transactions every month, just imagine the stress on your compliance team, right? And when you deal with different regulators that all have different nuances. For instance, the Ghanaian regulator wants something different from the regulator in Cote d'Ivoire. Everybody is different. So if you have a one-size-fits-all approach to compliance, for instance, you're going to keep, getting into soup, and your name is going to keep on coming into the news, and your investors on board will be asking you, "Oga, it's like you're not serious." So, particularly in compliance, it's one easy win that AI has actually helped make a world of difference. So with AI, I can just set, okay, these are the criteria. This type of transaction do not pass. This type of transaction, flag it to someone in compliance team. This type of transaction flag. And we find out that that is increasingly reducing our compliance cost. And for someone like Fincra that has very great ambitions, we really want to build the rails for an integrated Africa. That's 54 countries all talking to each other. That's a lot of transactions. And in a world where achieving our vision would have been idealistic, because of AI, now that future is very, very, very realistic. And for us, that makes a whole world of difference. Another thing is, as now we are building products, so many, like someone like Somto, what PiggyVest has done is remarkable and crazy. As you start to scale, you start to deal with really, really serious technology issues. Many a times you start to realize that the way you built for when you had 1 million transactions in a year is different from the way you build when you are averaging 500,000 transactions. So as you begin to break into new ground, that new level you are praying for. So they will tell you every new level comes with a what? A new what? A new devil. And the devil is really in the details. The devil, especially when you are in financial industry, there's one hacker, there's one guy always waiting and smiling for you because they are very happy to take advantage of you. And so even as you start to enter into the new level, you have to start bringing in AI to look into your code and be an added level QA. AI even has to help you to actually build better. So I'm a dev. I've built my code, I put it into here, I prompt, it checks, it scans, it helps me go to market faster, it helps me build faster. I can take my entire code base, of course in a safe manner, put it into AI. AI can actually help me see where these are the gaps in my code base, and then I can improve it. With that, I'm now building a product that can go to the market and is going to serve my customers in a more valuable way. So yeah, those are some of the additions.
All right, we'll just take a final round because of time. And so Somto, just in as few words as you can, probably in less than 2 minutes or 1 minute, Gideon just spoke about AI. When it comes to personal savings, it's still more about cultural propensity, people's way of life, our, disposition when it comes to savings. So how do you see AI being leveraged on to affect how people save more when it comes to PiggyVest? And what final word do you have for the audience? And then I will come to Toby and Gideon after that.
Yeah. So I think AI, obviously, as of now, can be your financial advisor if you give it your financial information, right? So I think that's also what I kind of touched on in the beginning, right? So imagine you impute your information, your history for the past, let's say 5 years in your different accounts, your different investment accounts. AI definitely can help, make sense of your financial. You can actually try it. You can download your bank statement and upload it to ChatGPT and tell it, what do you think about how I use money? And you'll be surprised, right? So I think that's the future, to be honest, right? Because there's less resources now for everyone. There's more competition for everyone. So we just have to be more efficient. And one of the best ways to do it is to actually leverage AI, right? And we intend to make it simpler. So almost like we're building different models for different aspects of that today. So that you're not even the one doing the prompting, we're prompting in the background, we are reprompting for you even every day. We are, if you log in, we're looking at, okay, this one that he logged in by 2 p.m. today, is he looking for money? Right, so I think AI makes it easy, and AI makes sense, because AI is very good with numbers, right? So it makes a lot of sense of financial data today. And a lot of companies are already using it. With big data, they're already using it today to make financial decisions, even for their companies, right? This is the actual operations accounts and things like that. But something we're doing very, very aggressively, and a few months would have something to show for that. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. For Toby, just one last question for you. And also, you can also close this with your final thoughts. You're a stakeholder and you're a gatekeeper in this ecosystem, right? But there could be bullish investors who come to the same sector you're operating in just by sheer value of the fact that they have more money and they also have maybe some government backing. So what really is the source code, or what have you built to be resilient that you feel that even if an investor in new companies trying to come into your very sector, they would not have any choice but to think of maybe an M&A with you or to collaborate rather than just kick you out of the market? What makes your skin that tough to resist competition?
Okay, well, the question is very unique. Just yesterday, I was at the National Assembly. I just got back from Abuja this morning because of this program. And why was I there yesterday? Because the National Assembly called me for a hearing to come and defend intervention funds that people have gotten, or they thought we've gotten, because almost everybody in my industry has gotten it. And they assume, and I told them that we haven't gotten one kobo from them. And they were very surprised that we haven't gotten anything from them. And I said, we haven't gotten one kobo, and how have you grown? They were asking. And I said, we've grown. So it's what I told them is just almost like what I'm going to repeat here. You know, what we've done, even when people have gotten grants, like I said, intervention from some CBN, and is we have a very lean, efficient system. I know this because, like I said, I started my career in this industry. I worked for Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz looks up to Toyota for that. Toyota is like, they always look up to Toyota's lean system. And so when I was going to start my own I learned from Mercedes-Benz. I didn't go and copy their own very expensive, robust system. So I went to Asia, learned from Toyota, and see how Toyota has this very lean structure. So we copied the Toyota system where everything is very lean. There's almost no waste in our operations, and that's why our cost is unbeatable. Like, if you ask my competitors, they're always wondering, they don't like it when we compete with them in bids, because they know Nord will win, because we will provide the same value or even better value at a better price. And like I said earlier, it's just having a very lean structure. It's a lot more complex, but the heading is just lean structure. Very lean, doing a lot of things internally where you don't need to have 5 employees. You don't need to have 5 employees where you don't need to. So that's just what it is. So because of that, even if they come in, and there's something we've also done, which is many people who use Nord today buy it because they are fascinated that our vehicles are that beautiful, and the vehicles are vehicles that are made here in this country. So anybody that wants to come in and take over will have to do the two, which is provide the fine cars, the beautiful cars, and still somehow be Nigerian. That will be very difficult.
All right, thank you very much. And lastly, Gideon from Fincra. I mean, you're dealing with a lot already, and you've been applauded for your skill in Nigeria. Now, it's so hard even trying to cope with the regulations in Nigeria that could change at any time. You have to deal with CBN new laws, deal with SEC, and now you want to be able to deal with SEC and CBN across 54 countries at the same time. What's the strategy for Fincra to be able to be proactive and not reactive when it comes to regulations across the African continent?
That's a very good question. So I'm a student of Charlie Munger. For those of you who don't know, Charlie Munger may he so rest in peace, partner to Warren Buffett. And there's something that he says. He says, avoiding stupidity is better than seeking brilliance. And he will tell you that you would actually look like a genius a whole lot if you learn how to avoid foolish things. And I think for us, what that means in this context is, if you are going to expand into multiple countries, because we actually have like real practical experience, you know, you have your name on the line, you have your balance sheet on the line. You want to be careful to say, what really are the battles I can realistically win, practically speaking? So for instance, instead of you going guns banging into a market, you don't know anybody in the market, you just walk yourself to the regulator to say, I want a license, right? And I want to start processing. You don't know anybody in the market. And in the Africa that we deal with today, you are going to get into trouble. So we have a very scientific approach where we try and test. So before we enter into a market, number one, who is the best in the market, right? I go there, I partner with the person. And then I ask myself, or we ask ourselves, can this market pay for itself? Because yes, we want to connect all of it for African countries, but they are not all important. Not all fingers are equal. So you have to ask yourself, right? Will this market pay? What is the return risk on every single market? And so that is now the philosophy that guides which market comes first. And then if we then have boots on the ground, and then that now determines, okay, because if I go in the market, I find a partner, we're working together, there's any issue, at least it's me and my partner that are going to regulator. You understand? The regulator knows the partner. As the partner is entering into the room, me too, I sneak in and say, hi, my name is Gideon from Frinkra. We are Gideon from Frinkra. We want to make payments. We sell our vision. They look at us, look at these naughty people. People are here again. Over time, we become friends. Then by the time we now come, right, with our license application, guess what? The door is already open. You've already built a certain level of relationship, and then you can now actually make achievements. So again, we don't go in guns banging, guns slinging, like, yes, we are here, scatter, scatter, scatter. We actually look at what is realistic. Is there money there? Focus on the money, and then the rest takes care of itself.
Can we put our hands together for this performance? Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for a wonderful session.
Can we put our hands together for them? Thank you very much. That was a very, very wonderful one. Is Dr. Akin around so that he can take a picture with them? All right, please just wait for him to join you to take this picture. Can we please put our hands together for these brilliant Nigerians, young minds that are making Nigeria proud. With people like this, you are sure that the future of Africa is secure. Can we put our hands together for them, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.